Welcome back to the deep dive. So you're joining us as we look at a situation that has gone way beyond just chaotic. I mean, we are talking apocalyptic, really.
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
We're not looking at, local skirmishes or some Vought corporate drama anymore. We are plunging headfirst into the final high-stakes conflict of the boys.
That's absolutely right. The stakes have just fundamentally shifted. We're looking at the final conflict, and what's defining it is this transition from, let's say, covert influence to just overt, terrifying, totalitarian control.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer about whether the boys can, beat a few bad suppies.
Right.
It's about whether they can fight a government that has become completely indistinguishable from this malicious, all-powerful corporation.
Okay, so our mission today is to try and map this new, frankly frightening political reality. We need to understand the fractured alliances inside Vought and, I guess, ultimately determine the price of the sacrifices that these characters are going to have to make to even stand a chance.
And we should say this right up top. For those of you who read the comics, do not go into this expecting to know the ending. I mean, it is confirmed that the show is going fully supernatural while at the same time executing this global political coup.
And the ending is a total departure from the source material.
A radical departure.
Yeah.
This is the moment where the show really uses its absurdity to reflect, some of the darkest real-world anxieties about power and who holds it. We have to analyze this not just as spectacle, but as this calculated story designed to show the end stage of total institutional failure.
So let's dive into what this new grim world order actually looks like on the ground.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's start by analyzing this fundamental structural change. We've watched Vought manipulate politicians and influence policy for years now, but this is different. The change is complete.
Yeah, it's the transition from that veiled, behind-the-scenes influence to just total overt control.
The system is Vought.
The system is Vought. That's the core concept we need to internalize. Homelander is no longer just, endorsed by the government. He is, for all intents and purposes, running the country.
And the crucial nuance here is the puppet president. Right.
Exactly. See, Homelander isn't just declaring himself a dictator. That would create mass civil unrest. It would make the boys look like liberators.
Sure.
Instead, he maintains this weak, official head of state.
Which gives him the veneer of legitimacy.
It gives him total legitimacy. It institutionalizes their control. By operating under this official banner, Vought can use government agencies, the courts, all the infrastructure to suppress dissent.
And it forces the boys into this really difficult position.
A deeply disadvantageous one. They're framed as traitors rebelling against the state, not vigilantes fighting a rogue corporation. Legally, morally, Vought has manufactured absolute cover for whatever it wants to do.
And the scale of this ambition, it matches the shift in power. When we look at the bigger picture, the goal seems to be creating an all-out war scenario.
Mm.
And this isn't just in the U.S. Homelander is trying to create this first at home, and then, it seems, globally. What is the end game of engineering planetary destruction?
The end game is establishing Homelander as a deity. It's moving past him just being a celebrity soup.
Right.
And we have definitive visual evidence of this. I mean, you have to look at the official promotional posters. They're always so meticulously crafted as propaganda.
What do they show?
They show Homelander floating, triumphantly above the earth. But if you look really closely at the backdrop, you see these disturbing visuals of multiple nuclear explosions happening all over the globe.
Wow. That's chilling. So he's not floating over a peaceful planet. He's just saved.
No.
He's floating over the ruin he's planning to engineer.
Precisely. It emphasizes that his ego has grown to match his power. He doesn't just want respect or control anymore. He wants worship.
Born from terror.
Born from absolute terror and dependence. He creates the crisis. He lets the world fall into chaos. And then, as Sage's plan later reveals, he swoops in as the only figure who can maintain order.
And he establishes himself as this divine figure against a backdrop of annihilated civilizations.
He really pushes the stakes into the realm of, well, the final reckoning.
This shift just fundamentally redefines the entire conflict. If Homelander is the state, then the boys are, by definition, criminals, or worse.
Traitors.
Yeah.
And the song choice in the latest previews, Styx's Renegade, is so perfectly darkly on the nose.
The lyrics, right. The lawman coming for them.
It frames the whole conflict. The concept is brutally simple. Anyone who does not toe Homelander's line is now a renegade. Homelander is the self-proclaimed ultimate lawman, and we're seeing these explicit directives that he's actively seeking excuses to kill the boys.
Or at the very least, lock up dissenters.
Immediately. This whole narrative strategy is designed to justify any brutality he unleashes. It makes their destruction seem like a necessary exercise of sovereign power.
And to maintain that level of control, you need the infrastructure of suppression. Which brings us to the most chilling detail, the systemic use of private prisons. We get a deeper look inside this new detention system, specifically one of Tech Knight's private prisons. This is where the satire just hits so hard, translating corporate greed into instruments of political repression.
And this infrastructure is the physical manifestation of Homelander's totalitarian state. Let's just focus on the uniform detail for a second because it's so deeply symbolic.
Okay.
The guards, the staff, they're wearing uniforms that literally incorporate and resemble Homelander's cape.
So it's not a Vought logo.
No. It is a direct symbol of allegiance to the man, not the corporation, not the state.
It bypasses the structure and goes straight to the cult of personality.
Exactly. It's moving from corporate bureaucracy to political fascism, where personal loyalty to the leader is the only currency that matters. And these prisons, they aren't just for high-value targets.
Right.
They are designed to hold regular people, soups too, who just refuse to comply with the regime. This is systemic suppression. When you build infrastructure like this, built by companies like Tech Knight that are profiting from incarceration,
you create a self-sustaining tyranny.
You do. They need dissenters to justify the prisons, and the prisons exist to eliminate dissent.
What's so fascinating and just utterly horrific is that this system turns every single guard into a willing participant in the cult, cloaked in the symbol of their tormentor.
It normalizes total allegiance through clothing.
It's way more effective than any billboard Vought could put up. It just shows you that the threat is now inescapable. And as we're about to discuss, the threat is also personal, given who ends up locked inside.
And that's a critical point. The political is now deeply personal. This private prison system is a vital tool, and the imprisonment of Hughie, a core member of the boys, drives that point home. No one is safe.
Okay, so let's pivot from that structural repression to the revolutionary response. How does the core team, the boys, how do they even begin to fight back when the whole world is against them and their very existence is branded as treason?
Their only path forward seems to be through desperation, really, and a plan that's rooted in inevitable sacrifice.
Their fight is now existential.
It has to be. We see Butcher back with the team, but he's compromised, both physically and mentally. He's surveying this massive, chaotic battlefield, which is likely the aftermath of a big failed engagement or a Vought attack. And all the while, he's dealing with the accelerating consequences of his temporary compound V use.
The tumor.
The tumor.
Yeah.
And of course, the monkey returns.
Right. The return of those hallucinations suggests his mental state is just deteriorating rapidly, right when he needs to be at his sharpest.
It's the ultimate tragedy of his character, isn't it? The internal mental battle, symbolized by those hallucinations, is escalating right alongside the external global conflict. It means every strategic decision he makes is going to be filtered through instability and pain.
And his call to action for the team, it's no longer a promise of victory or justice.
No, it's an acceptance of martyrdom.
He's trying to rally them with the understanding that they're probably going to die. But their sacrifice could save the world. If you look at the trajectory of the boys, that is a massive shift. They always fought to survive and win.
And now they are fighting only for a chance to fail well.
That's a great way to put it. Fighting only for a chance to fail well.
It just transforms their mission into one of revolutionary duty, where personal survival is completely secondary to the destruction of the Homelander regime. He's asking them to willingly step into an unwinnable fight, knowing the tumor is likely going to kill him first, regardless.
His motivation is now just pure, desperate duty.
And we see the immediate personal cost of this regime's power when, a major plot point is revealed. Hughie is incarcerated.
He is locked up in one of those new, terrifying private prisons.
Which makes that whole systemic issue we were talking about immediate and intimate.
It's brilliant and cruel. Hughie is one of the most accessible characters for the audience. He's the everyday man dragged into this chaos. His imprisonment immediately solidifies the danger of Homelander's regime for you, the viewer.
It's no longer an abstract concept. And we see that key scene in the preview between Hughie and Starlight where he tells her he intends to continue the fight even if it does kill him.
That line shows how far Hughie has come from that nervous, terrified young man who first joined Butcher. He's shifted from this hesitant observer seeking justice for his girlfriend to a committed revolutionary who accepts death as a possible outcome for the greater good. It's a complete character transformation.
And this commitment is what drives the next pivotal moment. Hughie needs to be free for the boys to reunite for their final stand, and that rescue is going to require a devastating display of force.
Right. We see evidence that the meeting of the boys, where they're rallying, probably happens after Starlight uses her powers in a really big way to break Hughie out.
Yeah, we're seeing Starlight, who has always tried to be the moral center and, avoid unnecessary collateral damage.
She has to unleash massive destructive power, probably in the heart of a Vought detention complex.
Visual implications are huge. Starlight is seen unleashing a devastating amount of energy, likely inside that prison complex. This suggests a massive breakout, not just for Hughie, but possibly for dozens, maybe hundreds of other dissenters.
She has to compromise her ideal of peaceful resistance to meet the existential threat.
Her act of salvation for Hughie is simultaneously an act of war against the state. It shows she is now fully committed to Butcher's desperate, sacrificial strategy.
So moving to the emotional core of the team, the relationship between Frenchie and Kimiko has always been this grounded, humanizing element in all the madness. The scenes we see of them just raise that profound and painful question about their ultimate fate.
Given the overriding theme of sacrifice and the fact that this is the final run, the narrative pressures really force us to consider whether one or both of them will sacrifice themselves to achieve the goal.
Their bond represents the possibility of love and connection surviving in a world ruled by Compound V.
It does. And if they are the characters who ultimately pay the highest price, that sacrifice serves as this huge emotional anchor. It communicates the true, devastating cost of fighting Vought.
What stands out to me is just how crucial their human connection is. If Butcher is the tactical brain fueled by rage,
Then Frenchie and Kimiko are the emotional heart.
exactly. And losing that heart would be the ultimate tragedy, regardless of whether Homelander is defeated.
It creates this real narrative tension. Does the show reward their deep, humanizing love, or does it confirm Butcher's nihilistic view that only death can stop this system? That tension is going to define their storyline.
Now let's quickly circle back to the overall narrative path. For the comic fans in the audience, the show has officially thrown out the map.
Yeah, we're told to set aside expectations for a familiar ending.
This is a necessary clarification, I think.
It really is. The original comic book ending, which involved that huge, long-simmering black noir twist, the revelation that he was the original clone of Homelander and the true villain.
Right, behind many of the atrocities.
That was a defining moment for comic readers. The show moved in a radically different direction with the black noir character much, much earlier.
So the plot for characters like Hughie and Starlight and the resolution of the entire series, it's going to be vastly different. We won't be seeing that climactic puppet master reveal play out in the same way.
Not at all. The series has established its own complex timeline and motivations, particularly centered around Ryan. The narrative chaos is charted entirely by the showrunners now, which ensures that the finale is genuinely unpredictable, even for the most seasoned fans.
It forces everyone, regardless of prior knowledge, to experience this conclusion on even ground.
Exactly.
So if we connect this New World Order to the bigger picture, we see that the external global war is just. It's the smokescreen.
That's right. The true strategic battle for Vought and for democracy itself is being fought internally with financial schemes and ruthless corporate planning.
And we have to talk about Sage. Sage, the new CEO of Vought, is executing what she calls her Phase 2 plan. And the phrase we've heard associated with it is chillingly specific: the fall of Rome.
The fall of Rome is the grand strategy. This is interpreted as the deliberate, systematic fall of the United States, the financial, legal, governmental structure, and most importantly, the fall of democracy itself.
Sage is the ultimate ruthless strategist.
She is. Her plan isn't just to acquire power. It's to intentionally dismantle the existing structure so that something permanent and totalitarian can be built in its place.
Which is a brilliant piece of satire reflecting how powerful systems often collapse themselves from within. She's not waiting for Homelander to accidentally cause chaos.
No, she is creating maximum, paralyzing anarchy.
That's the key distinction, isn't it?
It is. Her goal is to create chaos so profound, a societal breakdown of infrastructure and trust, that Homelander can then swoop in and become the God Emperor.
And the public, paralyzed by fear and instability, would embrace him as the savior.
The savior who rescued them from the very situation that Sage helped orchestrate. She's essentially making Homelander indispensable by destroying the world around him. It's a 5D chess move where the entire population are just expendable pieces.
But the danger of that plan is the inherent instability. I mean, if the U.S. government truly collapses, couldn't that chaos undermine Vought's own massive financial structure? Why risk burning the whole system down?
And that raises a really important question about her ruthlessness. We can connect this back to Gen V, where we saw Sage actively betray Thomas Godolkin, an immensely powerful figure, to protect this Phase 2 plan.
Right.
Her willingness to burn alliances, to sacrifice short-term political stability, it just confirms that she views the long-term goal of totalitarian, permanent control as worth any amount of temporary instability.
She believes Homelander, guided by her, can rebuild Vought's financial empire on the ashes of democracy.
That seems to be the plan.
Speaking of Vought executives, let's transition to the truly bizarre. Ashley is back, and she's somehow landed this absurd gig at the highest level of government.
Ashley is the new press secretary for the puppet president. It's hilarious and tragic. She's this low-level corporate climber, driven by fear and ambition, and now she's positioned at the absolute nexus of American power.
She's the voice for a figurehead who is entirely subservient to Homelander.
It's a perfect piece of dark satire that mirrors real-world political opportunism, placing someone loyal but profoundly unqualified into a position of crucial public trust.
But her placement raises huge questions about her own transformation. We saw the gruesome acquisition of Compound V powers at the end of Season 4, with her skull pulsating. What is the status of those powers? She looks physically normal in the scenes.
That is the ambiguity this show loves to play with. Her skull looks perfectly normal in the current preview scenes. This strongly suggests she's maintaining the illusion of normalcy.
So maybe she's still wearing a wig to mask a deeply disturbing physical reality.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
Or maybe the trauma of the transformation has just settled into the background. Either way, she is serving the God Emperor while masking her own instability and fear. It emphasizes that beneath the absurd facade of Homelander's government, everything is fundamentally corrupted and physically grotesque.
But if Sage is running Vought from the inside and Homelander is running the country, who is left to challenge them strategically? That brings us to a major comeback that happens entirely outside the immediate chaos. Stan Edgar.
Stan Edgar and Zoe. They're back. And their location is the key piece of information here. They're operating from a special underground bunker that is designed explicitly to be safe from both Homelander and Soldier Boy.
That tells us everything.
It does. Edgar is not in hiding. He is strategically positioning himself outside the blast radius of the political and physical war.
The man who previously stated he planned on returning to take control of Vought again. He's now activating his plan during maximum global chaos.
This is the genius of Edgar. While Sage and Homelander are focused on creating and navigating chaos above ground with soup fights and nuclear imagery,
Edgar is plotting the corporate overthrow from below.
where financial regulations and corporate bylaws still exist, even if weakly. His return represents the last hope for a corporate balance of power. He will challenge Homelander not with brute force, which he knows is impossible, but with strategic finance and manipulation.
Using the system itself to eat Homelander from the inside out.
That's it. It sets up the central conflict of this entire final run. Will the physical, devastating chaos orchestrated by Homelander and Sage win, or will the cold, calculated corporate chess move from Stan Edgar succeed in toppling the regime before it solidifies?
That is the thread we have to follow.
And this strategic setup leads us directly into the inevitable soup showdown. If Edgar's playing chess, Homelander's playing annihilation. The stage is set for the most powerful characters to clash.
And the most painful conflict possible starts with Ryan versus his father. This is where it gets really interesting.
The reports confirm Ryan is going full Homelander.
Yeah.
Seen fighting military troops. I mean, that visual alone establishes him not just as a conflicted kid, but as a major physical force on the battlefield.
The physical threat is now fully credible. The actor who plays Ryan has grown up, and the character's powers have matured to the point where he's powerful enough to be a genuine powerful threat to Homelander.
He's effectively another Homelander. Who else in this universe could logically stand up to the original in a straight-up fight?
Only someone genetically identical and equally potent.
Right. But the central conflict remains internal. Ryan is grappling with his loyalty. We saw him recognize his father's madness in Season 4, which suggests that his inevitable turn against Homelander is plausible.
Fueled by a genuine desire for good, or at least self-preservation from his deranged father.
It is the ultimate nature versus nurture battle, played out with I-beams and super strength. And we have smoking gun evidence that this confrontation moves beyond emotional turmoil and into a full-blown physical fight.
Homelander is shown repeatedly punching someone, a classic fight move. But the crucial detail is that he has visible laser damage on his suit.
That signature laser damage. It couldn't come from anyone else in a close-quarters fight.
It confirms a direct, likely lethal confrontation between father and son, using the only weapons that can genuinely hurt them.
The laser damage is the definitive sign. This is not a conversation or a brief scuffle. It is a battle for supremacy, and it confirms Ryan is willing to engage in lethal force against his own father. The stakes for this showdown are the highest in the series.
Okay, so moving from one twisted familial bond to another, we enter the realm of Homelander's psychological instability with his creepy obsession with Soldier Boy.
This is truly bizarre. Even by Homelander standards, we get an absolutely twisted scene of Homelander keeping Soldier Boy's cryotube inside his apartment in Vought Tower.
What?
He's been keeping him there, staring at him. This speaks volumes about Homelander's narcissism and his deep-seated need to compare himself to his predecessor and biological father.
It's like keeping a trophy. Or a bizarre boxed action figure you haven't taken out yet, something he controls and stares at to validate his own perceived superiority.
It's profoundly unsettling. It confirms his descent into pure psychological instability. He needs the physical presence of the man he despises and fears most to validate his own status as the God Emperor.
And then we hear the line, "A reckoning is coming," uttered by Homelander while inside his apartment. The ambiguity is key.
Is he talking to himself, reflecting his internal split personality that we've seen before?
Or has he taken Soldier Boy out of cryo and is talking to him directly?
The sources suggest Soldier Boy will indeed be active this season.
Oh, wow.
Likely deployed to capture the boys for Homelander. So the reckoning could be the one Homelander plans to unleash using his father, the ultimate weapon against the ultimate renegades.
Which would force Butcher and Soldier Boy, who have their own complex history, into a fresh conflict.
Adding layers of complication to the final stand.
Speaking of those complex histories, we move to the highly anticipated supernatural reunion. Jensen Ackles, Soldier Boy, and Jared Padalecki, a new superhero, are confirmed to be seen together inside a Vought facility.
Possibly the White House, given the setting.
The fan service is massive.
It is, but the narrative integration is even more exciting. The full reunion energy is confirmed, and Misha Collins is also set to be on screen with them. This confirms a significant cluster of powerful supes, likely fighting on the side of chaos, or maybe attempting to clean up Homelander's mess.
What do we know about Padalecki's character other than he's a new supe?
There is one very specific, dark detail.
Yeah.
He is seen standing right next to someone exploding in the preview.
Okay.
This detail is crucial. It might hint at how his powers work. Perhaps he's associated with explosion containment, or maybe he generates chaotic energy.
Or he could just be a bystander to a chaotic event.
Right. Either way, his introduction is rooted directly in the high-stakes, explosive reality of the Vought government breakdown.
Beyond the main conflicts, we have these critical soup subplots that showcase the breadth of the chaos that Sage has unleashed. Let's check in on the Deep.
The Deep is seen cleaning up a giant oil spill, and he looks completely distraught. This is classic, brilliant satire. Even as the political world collapses, real-world catastrophes are piling up.
Probably linked to the all-out war scenario.
Almost certainly.
Yeah.
And the Deep, perpetually trying to achieve public validation through performative corporate social responsibility, is clearly overwhelmed by the scale of the environmental disaster. And he's probably making it worse.
It's the perfect cynical image of celebrity environmentalism failing in the face of true systemic collapse. And A-Train seems to be involved in the prison system, but in a very cinematic way.
A-Train is also inside one of the prisons, possibly incarcerated or hiding. This show is confirmed to be using that cinematic style, the slow-motion Quicksilver-esque sequence.
Right, where everything slows down.
And we see A-Train running around and doing crazy stuff from his perspective. This suggests he is either desperately trying to escape or perhaps utilizing his speed in a chaotic environment, maybe even inadvertently assisting Starlight's breakout.
Or causing a riot.
It will focus on the personal limits of his power in a crisis.
Finally, we must address the most important reunion, the return of Butcher's faithful bulldog.
Terror returns. It's a great humanizing moment, but in true The Boys fashion, the shot is immediately followed by a shot of Dognot.
Oh no, For those who may have forgotten, Dognot is one of Vought's truly grotesque compound V experiments.
A repulsive, sentient dog hybrid who suffers profoundly. So the dark humor twist is this. The return of the beloved, normal dog is immediately undercut by the fear of Dognot's degenerative proximity.
Does the beloved pet survive the presence of this walking, tragic horror show?
It injects a perfect, visceral piece of dark humor into the emotional stakes. It reminds us that Vought's cruelty extends far beyond the human realm. We can only hope for terror's safety.
If we connect this final season to the bigger picture, the sheer scope of the Vought universe is just expanding dramatically. The end of the main series isn't a period.
No, it's a pivot point for everything else the corporation is planning.
And the previous, somewhat cautious integration with the college spinoff, Gen V, is officially over.
Oh yeah, they are fully merging narratives for this final confrontation.
The main players, the boys, they show up to meet Marie and the entire Scooby gang from Gen V.
They do. And the narrative states they are explicitly telling the Gen V characters that they need their help for the earth-shattering events unfolding during this final season.
This is a major step. It confirms that the chaos Homelander and Sage have engineered is too great for even Butcher's team to handle alone.
They need the next generation of Soupies. Soupies whose powers are still developing and whose allegiances are still relatively pure, to step onto the main stage and fight the final war.
It creates a tremendous narrative bridge, ensuring that the ending of the main series doesn't just finish the story.
It flows directly into the continuation of the shared Vought universe through the spin-offs. The chaos of this season is the actual genesis of the next phase of conflict for Marie and her group. Their stakes are immediately raised from campus drama to saving the world from totalitarianism.
And speaking of next phases, this final season is also acting as a massive launchpad for brand new shows, proving that regardless of who wins this war, Vought itself is truly immortal.
Yeah, what are we expecting post-finale?
Post-finale, we will see the full rollout of the Soulja Boy prequel series, which will also feature Stormfront. And the title of this prequel is confirmed to be Vought Rising.
Which is a highly telling title, isn't it? Even if the boys achieve the fall of Rome in the main show, the origin stories, the history, and the institutional rise of Vought will continue to be mined for narrative content.
So whether Homelander is defeated, imprisoned, or killed, Vought's institutional power continues to rise and perpetuate.
And that is the chilling final meta-thought. The very idea that the series finale, which is supposed to resolve this whole conflict, leads directly into a show called Vought Rising, tells you that the themes of corporate power and institutional evil will outlive any single Supic or vigilante group. It's the cycle of compound V and profit that never ends.
So to summarize this deeply detailed and frankly disturbing deep dive, the world has entered Homelander's totalitarian God-Emperor complex, where he and Sage are actively working to orchestrate the total destruction of democracy and create a new, terrifying world order.
And against this, the boys are mounting a desperate resistance, fueled by an acceptance of personal sacrifice. Hughie's imprisonment, Butcher's acceptance of death, Starlight's radical use of her powers. The stage is set for a climax defined by chaos, both political and physical.
The narrative is masterfully designed to reflect our current anxieties about political upheaval and the power corporations while, simultaneously providing this outrageous supernatural spectacle.
We've dissected the systemic repression, evident in those cape uniform prison guards. We've seen the corporate maneuvering by Sage to collapse society from within, and the immense physical threat posed by Ryan, who represents the only genuine challenge to his father. The goal here is not just to watch the violence, but to understand the calculated strategy behind the chaos.
So what stands out to you, the listener? We've analyzed Ryan's challenge to Homelander, the corporate plot by Sage, the inevitability of sacrifice for the core team. But Stan Edgar, the ultimate non-Sapu puppet master, remains safe in his bunker, plotting to take Vought back using corporate maneuvering rather than force.
Which raises the single most important question as the final reckoning approaches. In a season defined by spectacular confrontations and immense power, what essential character, who has not yet made a decisive, highly visible move, a character operating purely from calculation and outside the physical conflict, will be the true catalyst for the final unexpected ending?
We know Stan Edgar is the only one equipped to attack the core financial structure of Vought.
So will the corporate puppet master, operating from a position of absolute safety outside the soup melee, be the one who finally pulls the necessary string to topple the seemingly invincible regime.
A reckoning is coming, indeed. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.